My heels announce me before I arrive. Sharp clicks ricocheting off the polished marble of the lobby. Tuesday evening yawning empty around the concierge desk. 32 today. Another 14-hour sprint logged and signed off. Another client who clasped my hands like I'd brought them rain after a drought. I know how to solve problems filmed beneath boardroom lighting. I don't know what to do with the quiet that waits at my front door. The elevator sighs open. Stainless steel mirrors return my image to me from 3 angles. Quinn Edwards, senior PR executive, bun slightly loosened, liner smudged, jacket still crisp, because control is my love language. In the reflection, I try a birthday smile and fail. My phone screen glows back. 0 messages, 0 missed calls, as stubborn as a closed fist. Birthdays are for kids, I tell the woman in the mirror, as if she needs a memo. The doors part on my floor with a gentle bell. Someone down the hall laughs, the bright helium sound of a child, then a chorus, Mot hai ba, toi nen. A neighbor's door is ajar. I pass by a slice of celebration. A homemade sheet cake packed with candles, a father crouched with a lighter, an aunt recording on her phone, the boy in a paper crown. My feet slow without my permission. A woman spots me and smiles, warm as the hallway light. Ciao chi, she says, tipping the cake briefly toward me, as if to share the glow. I wave thinly and keep moving. The elevator dings closed behind me like a period. Inside my apartment, the air is tidy and cold, the way a hotel room is tidy and cold when you arrive late. The little cake I bought this morning has waited all day on the coffee table. A white box with a clear window, its single candle standing like a sentinel. Or a joke. I set my briefcase down by the sofa. The room receives me beautifully. Curated, intentional, and hollow. Midnight ticks anticlimactically closer, every second hand step tiny and precise. I toe off my heels and stand barefoot on the rug to feel something. The phone doesn't light. I imagine how this would go if I were someone else. Someone whose birth date is entered in an entire family's muscle memory. A shared chat, a chorus of, "You deserve the world," a mother's signature too many exclamation points. The idea makes me laugh. One brief, ridiculous sound swallowed by the apartment. Work. I can always sandpaper the day with work. Laptop open, fingers poised to anesthetize myself with red lines and slide sequence tweaks. Instead, muscle memory betrays me, and I click open Facebook. The first image hits like cold water. My brother Miles. Champagne flute aloft, jaw thrown back mid-laugh. Behind him, a banner droops in gold block letters. Congratulations on your promotion. To his right, my father's arm is draped across his shoulders, a sculpted display of proprietary pride. My mother, Claudia, pearls like small moons at her throat, presses into his other side, eyes wet with perfectly photogenic joy. The timestamp is 4 hours old, right about when I was buying myself a candle. Scroll. There they all are. Aunts I haven't seen in years, uncles shaking Miles's hand like it's the hinge on the family future, cousins I babysat who never text first. The comments tumble in a feed of confetti. So proud of our superstar, my father writes. The Edwards legacy continues, my mother adds, and dozens of hearts bloom beneath it. My mouth has gone dry. An old dumb thought bumps up from childhood. Maybe they forgot. But forgetting is silent. This is a choice with a hashtag and professional lighting. My thumb scrolls and the floor under the evening tilts slightly. My body knows this slope. 11. Sitting at a restaurant. A single candle stub coughing wax down the side of a cake while I watch the door for parents delayed by Miles's debate finals. 17. Sent to Grandma's for a special weekend because my parents were touring Yale with him. It's his future, Quinn, Dad had said on the drive. Hands at 10 and 2, eyes forward. My college graduation dinner, hijacked by Miles's engagement announcement. My honors drowned in centerpiece flowers and seating chart jokes. These memories aren't even sharp anymore. They've been handled to a gloss. An email notification blooms on my laptop. Subject: Performance bonus approval. I blink, open without expectation, then sit up. $82,000. The praise is brief but solid. Not a hug, not a cake, but a line of numbers that says, "I see you, and what you did mattered." The phone rings then, violent in the quiet. Mom. Something small and innocent in me sits up, wagging its tail, and I hate her for making me do that. "Hello?" I hear myself answer in a voice I didn't pre-approve. "Quinn, darling." Her happiness sparkles like the champagne in those photos. "I'm so glad I caught you. Listen, we're planning a little something for Miles and Jessica's anniversary next month, and I was hoping you could help out. Nothing major, just the catering, maybe decorations. You're so good at that sort of thing." Midnight clicks over with indifference. My birthday slides into a ledgered past. "Mom," I say, each consonant careful. Today was my birthday. There's a microbeat where I imagine the script changing. Then, oh, a shuffle of air. The quick reassembly of a performance. "Oh, honey." With Miles's big promotion, it just slipped our minds. Slipped is what you do when there's ice. This has always been choreography. I stare at the email's numbers again, crisp as winter sun. Something low in me shifts. Tectonic. The floor steadies. "Don't worry about it," I say, and the tone doesn't sound like any version of me I've met. It sounds like granite. I understand what's important to this family. We hang up on the practiced exchange of love yous that function more like punctuation than content. My apartment returns, familiar in its curated way, but the walls feel a shade closer, or my body is a shade larger. I can't tell which. The computer's light makes a soft rectangle on the coffee table beside the white cake box. I slide the lid open, set the single candle upright in the frosting. It's such a small thing, ridiculous even. A pathetic little soldier awaiting orders. I fetch a match from the kitchen and pause at the sink, because the neighbor boy's laugh is still in the hallway air, because the smell of someone else's meal carries like a story you weren't invited into. I think of a term I read once, clinical and cool, learned invisibility. When being overlooked becomes predictable enough to feel like safety. Every system rewards what it repeats. My family has rehearsed me into a ghost. I strike the match. Flame trembles and finds posture. I don't make a wish. I'm done asking for what I can build. I inhale, blow, and watch the wick gutter out, smoke ribboning upward in a question mark that answers itself. Habit pulls my hand back to the trackpad. I don't type the words I've trained myself to type. Deck, revision, stakeholder. I click one tab back to the photo of Miles mid-toast. The party's gleam catches in the bottle on the table. My father's smile is the exact shape of a finish line for a race I was never entered in. I close the window. Above the laptop, the clock ticks its steady liturgy. Under the laptop, the coffee table is scored faintly from years of mugs without coasters. The apartment remembers all the places I've set hot things down. The phone on the cushion beside me vibrates once with the weather report. No friends texting because I have trained them to work around my schedule, to not ask for me when I'm likely to be asked for by someone else. My bonus email sits open like a door. $82,000. Enough for what? For once, I let the sentence finish. Not their venue, not their catering, not another party I stage where I pass appetizers and gratitude like trays. Enough for something that changes the diagram of my days. I open a new tab. The search bar blinks. Patient. I type, lakefront property, Michigan. Then laugh because it's absurd, because it's impulsive, because it is the first thing that makes my blood feel warm all evening. Listings unfurl. Weathered decks and pines and windows that drink light. I click one. 4 bedrooms. A wraparound deck. The kind of kitchen that makes you want to bake blueberry pancakes just to see steam lift in morning sun. Before tonight, I would have sent the link to no one. because I don't share fantasies I don't plan to deliver. Now I bookmark it, not as a fantasy, but as a draft. My mother's photos sit a thumb scroll away, glossy proof of where I do not exist. My email sits open, matte proof that I do. In the hallway, the boys' party crescendos into the off-key choir of Happy Birthday, a tune that sounds ridiculous until you are the one blowing. I press my palm briefly to the cool window glass and listen. Not long, just enough. Then I pick up my phone, open the camera, and photograph my own small cake with its extinguished candle, the smoke already thinning to nothing. I don't post it. Not yet. But the image is there. Captured. Evidence of a night I decide not to disappear. I set the phone down. The screen brushes the varnished wood with a hush. On my laptop, a red notification appears at the corner of a new message icon. For a second, an ache lifts its head like a stray. Hope. But it isn't a person. It's time. It's mine. I click the bookmarked listing again. The lake in the hero image is a flat coin of blue under a sky clean as paper. Somewhere, waves are making the soft sound of persistence on a shore. I allow myself to imagine the sound in my ears, instead of a lecture in my father's study, instead of my mother's performance of sorrow. I allow myself to imagine the ritual of Tuesday nights that isn't someone else's emergency. The mouse hovers over contact agent, and then my phone lights for real, vibrating harder than a weather update, harder than spam. The screen fills with a cascade. 17 missed calls, 32 texts, incoming again. Mom, Dad, Miles, Cousin Elaine. The family thread exploding like a faulty firework. I don't answer. Not yet. Because on my laptop, reflected faintly in the black border of the screen, my face looks different. Not softer, not harder, aligned. And my finger, steady as a signature, taps once on the lake. The morning after, the cake box is still on the table, its candle leaning like a soldier gone AWOL. I don't throw it away. I leave it there on purpose, like evidence in a case file, a reminder that silence is not forgetfulness. It's choice. Work slides in to fill the cracks. A client presentation, 3 strategy calls, a lunch eaten in bites between drafts. I move through it all with mechanical efficiency, but memory is sticky. While Jennifer is sketching numbers on the whiteboard, my mind drags me back through a timeline of birthdays that always seemed to belong to someone else. When I was 11, Mom swore she'd be back from Miles's debate finals in time. We'd picked a restaurant I loved, red vinyl booths, sundaes that came with sparklers. I sat there in my best dress, fork tapping against the plate as the candle melted lower, lower. The waitress brought another soda on the house, gave me the kind of smile adults reserve for abandoned animals. They never came. Miles won that debate, of course. He won more than just the trophy. He won my birthday, too. At 17, I was shipped to Grandma's house with a suitcase and a kiss on the cheek. "This weekend is about his future," Dad said, one hand on the wheel, not looking at me. They drove to Yale, toured the campus, called later with their voices high and proud. Grandma tried to make me a cake with frosting from a can. I blew out the candles but felt like I was blowing into a void. At 22, my college graduation was supposed to be my night. I wore the medal around my neck, summa cum laude, and we booked a table for 10. 10 quickly became 25 when Miles stood up halfway through dessert and announced his engagement. The congratulations swallowed the air, and my diploma sat folded by my plate, forgotten under the clutter of champagne flutes. By then, the pattern wasn't a surprise. It was a rhythm I had memorized. Miles's drumbeat, my silence as harmony. But the detail that stings sharper than all of it is financial. The year I got into my dream grad program, I begged Dad to co-sign the student loan. He glanced at the papers, tapped the numbers with his pen, and shook his head. "It's too risky. You'll figure something out." I did. 2 part-time jobs, student debt that still hangs like a shadow over my bank account. The same year, Miles announced he wanted to prep for Yale Law. They cut a check without blinking. Tuition, housing, prep courses, the works. When I confronted Dad about the contradiction, he said, "Law is a serious investment. Advertising." He trailed off like the word itself was smoke, something insubstantial. Even now, sitting at my polished desk on the 18th floor, I feel that conversation under my skin like an old burn. The phone buzzes again. I glance down, pulse quickening despite myself. For one absurd second, I think maybe someone remembered. Maybe a belated message slipped through. It's an email notification. I open it, half out of habit, half out of spite. My eyes widen. The subject line is blunt, unemotional. Performance bonus approval. The number inside is not. $82,000. Real, tangible recognition. My breath catches, like the room just tilted in my favor for once. The universe doesn't pause to let me savor. The screen lights again, this time with an incoming call. "Mom." The bonus glow collides with the ringtone's shrill demand. Against my better judgment, I swipe green. "Quinn, darling." Her voice bubbles with champagne cheer. For a heartbeat, foolish hope flares. Maybe she remembered. Maybe this is the call. But she keeps going. "I'm so glad I caught you. We're planning a little something for Miles and Jessica's anniversary next month, and I was hoping you could help out. Nothing major, just catering, maybe decorations. You've always had a knack for that." Her words blur with the images from last night. The banner, the champagne, my parents' arms around Miles. I cut in, my throat tight. "Mom, today was my birthday." There's a pause, then a gasp, as if I've told her she left the oven on. Oh, honey. With Miles's big promotion, it just slipped our minds. Slipped. Like my name is a set of car keys you misplace under the couch cushion. On the desk in front of me, my email with its glowing numbers is still open, steady as a heartbeat. $82,000. Something inside me settles into a new position. Tectonic plates finding a fault line. "Don't worry about it," I say, my voice colder than I've ever heard it. I understand what's important to this family. The call ends. Her voice dissolves into silence. I sit back, staring at the two competing screens in front of me. One filled with money I earned, the other buzzing with requests I never asked for. For the first time, I feel the balance tipping. That night in the quiet of my apartment, I do something I never thought I would. I print out the email with the bonus approval. I slip it into a folder marked personal and set it carefully on the shelf with my old files. Not because I need the paper, but because I know instinctively it's evidence. Proof of my worth when the day comes that I'll need to lay it bare, and deep down I can feel it. That day is coming. The office lights hum softly above me, glass walls gleaming with the Chicago skyline beyond. But my focus is chained to the glowing screen in front of me. The group chat sprawls across it like a spider web, each thread another strand of betrayal. I wasn't supposed to see this. Mom's accidental click added me to the Edwards family thread, a digital salon where I am never mentioned unless my name is attached to a duty. And here it is, laid out in black and white. "Dad, Quinn should contribute significantly to Miles and Jessica's anniversary gift. At least $20,000. Mom, she just got that big bonus. Time she supported the family for once. Support the family. Like I haven't been grinding, sacrificing, filling the gaps in silence for years. And then, the detail that cuts sharper than the number. My name. Quinn. 1 N. My own mother can't even spell it right. I lean back in my chair, leather creaking, and feel the weight of decades pressing on me. The documents on my desk whisper for attention. Campaign drafts, notes for tomorrow's client pitch, but the words in that thread are louder, more poisonous. I print the messages. One by one, the sheets spit out of the machine, each damning sentence captured in ink. I slip them into the same folder where my bonus approval already waits. The folder feels heavier than it should, like it's absorbing the truth I've carried wordlessly all these years. Evidence. If my family insists on treating life like a trial, then fine. I will prepare like a prosecutor. A knock on my doorframe startles me. Jennifer leans in, curls bouncing, expression shifting from casual to cautious as she catches the look on my face. "Everything okay?" she asks. I swivel the screen toward her, the words 20,000 glowing like a neon sign. Her eyebrows shoot up. "They actually wrote this?" I nod. "And they can't even spell my name right." She lets out a low whistle. "That's cold, Quinn. Real cold." "Apparently," I say, voice flat. "It's time I support the family for once." Jennifer steps into the office, perching on the edge of my desk. Her bluntness is one of the few constants in my life. "Let me ask you something. What exactly have they ever done for you lately? Besides drain you like an ATM?" Her words hang heavy in the air. Before I can answer, my office phone blinks with a call, the name flashing across it. Miles. My jaw tightens. He doesn't even bother texting anymore. Calls mean urgency. Demands dressed up as family helping family. I don't pick up. The phone rings again. And again. Jennifer smirks bitterly. "Your brother treating you like his secretary now?" I swallow. Worse, his Rolodex. The buzzing stops, but my cell phone immediately vibrates in its place. Another call. Same name. By the time I finally answer, it's less surrender than strategy. My voice is calm, polished, the same one I use with difficult clients. "Miles." "Quinn, hey," he says, too cheerful. "Listen, I need a favor. Regent Tech's chief marketing officer. I've got a dinner tomorrow with a potential investor, and it would mean a lot if you could connect us." So casual. Like borrowing sugar from a neighbor. Like he hasn't done this 3 times already. Tapping my contacts as if they were his personal asset list. I glance at the folder on my desk, its edges sharp and accusing. "I'll see what I can do," I answer, deliberately non-committal. After he hangs up, I don't move for a long moment. My reflection stares back at me from the glass wall, faint but unmistakable. Green eyes dulled, lips pressed thin. I whisper to it, not for drama but for truth. They will never stop taking unless I stop giving. That evening, when the office empties and the city hums with twilight energy, I slip the printed chat screenshots into my bag. On the way out, I catch sight of my own face in the elevator mirror again. Not the weary woman from last night. Someone sharper. Someone assembling a case. The doors close, and for the first time in years, I don't see just a reflection. I see strategy. The next morning dawns bright and brittle, sunlight slicing between the high-rises as if daring me to blink. I don't. My mind is already rehearsing a different script, one where I stop playing the dutiful daughter and start playing the professional I've always been outside my family's walls. At Horizon PR, the glass-walled conference room is alive with chatter when Lawrence Chen strides in. CEO, immaculate as ever, charcoal suit pressed so sharply it could draw blood. He carries a folder under his arm, his smile reserved for the moments he means it. "Quinn," he says, dropping the folder in front of me. "The Westfield campaign numbers just came in." I flip it open. A 41% increase in quarterly revenue, bold and undeniable. "The board is ecstatic," he continues. "This is why I fought for your bonus. You've earned every penny." The words sink in like warm sunlight, so foreign I almost flinch. Appreciation without asterisks. Recognition not tethered to Miles's shadow. "Thank you," I manage. My voice sounds steady, but inside a tide is rising. I barely have time to savor it before my phone buzzes across the table. Miles again. Relentless. I ignore it, sliding the device into my bag like sealing away a mosquito. Jennifer catches my eye from across the room, her lips quirking knowingly. "Family emergency," she mouths, rolling her eyes. I almost laugh, almost. Later, back at my desk, the inevitable comes. Miles on speakerphone, his tone impatient but coated with sugar. "Quinn, did you get a hold of Regent Tech's CMO for me? Big dinner tonight, huge opportunity. His entitlement drips through every syllable. He doesn't even pause to ask how I am, or, God forbid, how my birthday went. I glance at the folder in my drawer, the printed group chat messages, the bonus approval, the beginnings of my case file. My pulse steadies. I'll see what I can do, I say evenly, voice trained, neutral. In the pause that follows, I can almost hear him smirking, already counting my compliance as a victory. Family helps family, he reminds me, as if the phrase is scripture. I hang up before the bitter laugh in my throat can escape. Jennifer pops her head into my office minutes later. Did I just hear your brother demanding favors again? I nod, pulling the drawer shut with a click. She shakes her head, curls bouncing. You know, if a client tried that with you, using contacts, dictating terms, you'd call it what it is. Exploitation. Her bluntness slices through me, clean and undeniable. But because it's family, you've been trained to accept it, she finishes. Classic double standard. Her words sit heavy, aligning with something I hadn't allowed myself to name. I've been living under a contract I never signed. One where my labor, my time, my Rolodex, everything, is theirs to requisition. No negotiation required. But contracts can be rewritten. That evening, while the city's glow seeps through my window, I pull the bonus approval letter from the folder again. My eyes linger on the signature at the bottom. Lawrence's, bold and decisive. A legal line drawn that says, "This is yours." The irony isn't lost on me. A corporation respects my autonomy more than my blood family does. I smooth the paper flat, slide it back into the folder, and whisper to the empty room, maybe it's time to start drafting my own terms. When the office finally empties and silence wraps itself around the 18th floor, I stand by the window overlooking Chicago. The skyline blinks like a constellation of opportunities. Somewhere down there, my family is raising glasses to Miles, probably retelling the story of his promotion like scripture. But up here, in this quiet glass box, I feel something unfamiliar and electric. Leverage. The next time Miles calls, I let it go to voicemail. And as the message icon blinks, I realize something. For the first time in 32 years, I'm not rushing to prove my worth. I'm watching, waiting, calculating. Like a lawyer preparing her opening argument. Tuesday evening arrives like clockwork, and with it, my weekly ritual. Mrs. Bennett's apartment on the 3rd floor. The hallway smells faintly of cinnamon and fresh paint, but as soon as I knock, another scent washes over me. Oatmeal cookies warm from the oven. Right on time, she says, ushering me in with a smile that creases the corners of her eyes. At 84, she moves with the stubborn grace of someone who refuses to let age define her. Her kitchen is small but alive, checkered tablecloth covering the round table, potted basil on the windowsill, leaning toward the last rays of sunlight. For 3 years, we've shared these evenings. I bring takeout, she supplies dessert and conversation. It's the one place in my week where I don't feel like I'm auditioning for affection. I set down the Thai food I picked up on the way home. She fusses with plates, humming a hymn under her breath. When we finally sit, she pushes the cookie plate closer. You look troubled. I hesitate, then tell her everything. The group chat, the $20,000 demand, the way they misspelled my name like I was a stranger. My voice wavers as I add, it shouldn't hurt this much, should it? After all this time? Mrs. Bennett doesn't rush to answer. She takes my hand, her skin paper thin but steady as stone. Some parents never see their children clearly, she says, too busy looking at their own reflection. You've been trying to get them to notice you, but you're standing in a house of mirrors. They only ever see themselves. The words land like truth dressed in mourning clothes. My throat tightens. After a while, she leans back, eyes distant. You know, I had 2 sons, she says softly. We don't talk anymore. Not because of anger exactly, but because somewhere along the way, I stopped existing to them. They call on holidays, send flowers for my birthday, but they never ask how I really am. I learned to build my life around people who do ask. Her confession folds into the air between us, raw and unsentimental. I realize she's not just comforting me, she's warning me. This cycle doesn't end unless I end it. Later, when the food is gone and the cookies reduced to crumbs, she presses a Tupperware container into my hands. "For later," she says, smiling faintly. "Consider it my insurance that you'll come back next week." I laugh, small but genuine. "You don't need insurance, Mrs. Bennet. Your family." The word hangs there, heavy and light all at once. Family. She squeezes my hand again. "Then don't let anyone redefine that for you." Back in my apartment, the walls feel even colder after the warmth of her kitchen. The printed chat messages sit in my bag, the bonus letter with them, like weapons waiting to be unsheathed. I set the cookies on the counter and stare at the ceiling. My parents' house looms in my mind. 3 stories of stone, dripping with chandeliers and expectations. And in a matter of days, I'll be there, salmon on my plate, eyes on me, their voices pressing. I can almost hear my father now, knife clicking against china, demanding I contribute $20,000 because family supports family. But tonight, Mrs. Bennet's voice lingers louder. "Don't let anyone redefine family for you." I walk to the table where my laptop waits, open a blank document, and type 3 words in bold. "My other plans." The cursor blinks, patient. I don't fill in the details yet, but I know one thing. They won't include catering Miles's anniversary party. As I shut down for the night, a shiver runs through me. Not from fear, from something sharper. Resolve. Saturday evening. The Edwards mansion looms on Lakeshore Drive like a courthouse, 3 stories of stone and privilege stacked high above the street. I grip the steering wheel tighter as I pull into the circular driveway, the Mercedes and BMWs lined up like trophies. My stomach knots, but my pulse is steady. Inside, the air smells of polished wood and expensive wine. Crystal chandeliers scatter light across marble floors. Mom is fussing with flower arrangements, her pearl earrings swaying with every calculated nod. Dad pours himself a scotch, his posture military straight, eyes scanning the room like a judge preparing for trial. Miles and Jessica lounge on the leather sofa, dressed like an advertisement for success, sipping cocktails as if the world owes them admiration. I smooth my blazer and remind myself, I am not on trial here. Not tonight. Dinner follows its usual choreography. Dad dominates conversation, boasting about Miles's promotion, dissecting market trends in a tone designed to impress. Mom interjects with perfectly timed anecdotes. Jessica beams at all the right moments, a supporting actress to Miles's leading man. I sit quietly, salmon untouched, fork moving in mechanical circles. Dessert arrives, and with it, the moment I've been dreading. Dad sets down his coffee cup with deliberate precision, the sound sharp as a gavel. His eyes lock on me. "Quinn, we need to discuss your contribution to Miles and Jessica's anniversary celebration. $20,000 will cover the venue and catering. As the only family member with a recent windfall, it seems appropriate." Mom nods, her pearls catching the light. "Family supports family, darling." The phrase strikes like a whip. Family supports family. I breathe slowly, like studying for cross-examination. "I can't," I say, voice quiet but firm. Dad blinks, as if the word doesn't compute. "I beg your pardon? I can't contribute $20,000. My voice steadies. "That's a quarter of my bonus. I have other plans for it." The silence is instant and suffocating. Jessica's fork freezes midair. Miles shifts uncomfortably but says nothing. Dad's voice drops, cold and sharp. "What other plans could possibly take precedence over your brother's celebration?" "My future." Mom's face crumples, her performance flawless. Tears shimmer in her eyes as she whispers, "After all we've done for you," the guilt dagger she's wielded my entire life. But tonight I catch it midair. "What exactly have you done for me?" The question slips out, blunt and raw. Dad rises, towering over the table. His voice booms across the room. I will not tolerate ingratitude in this house. Your brother is the real achiever in this family. The least you can do is support his success. There it is. The bruise they've been pressing for 32 years. The verdict I've always known but never heard stated so clearly. I push my chair back, legs trembling but spine straight. I need to go. Mom reaches for my arm, her voice a hiss. Quinn, please don't make a scene. For once, I don't shrink. I don't smooth it over. I pull free, grab my purse, and walk out the front door. The night air hits my face like freedom. My heels clatter against the stone steps, the sound echoing like a gavel's final strike. In the car, hands trembling on the steering wheel, I whisper a vow to the windshield. This is just the beginning. For the first time in my life, I've refused to fade into the background of Miles's story. It feels terrifying, and it feels right. The fallout begins before dawn. At 7:15 a.m. sharp, my phone buzzes. Mom's name flashes across the screen, her persistence clockwork precise. I leave it on the bathroom counter while I brew coffee, listening to her voice echo faintly from the speaker. Quinn, sweetie, this rebellious phase needs to end. Your father hasn't slept properly since that dinner. You're breaking our hearts after everything we've sacrificed for you. The mascara wand freezes in my hand. My reflection in the mirror looks back at me, lips pressed tight, eyes suddenly colder. What exactly have you sacrificed for me? I murmur, not into the phone but into the glass. By the time she gasps in shock, I've already hung up. By afternoon, the pressure escalates. The glass doors of Horizon PR swing wide, and there he is, my father, storming into my workplace like he owns the building. Tall, silver-haired, dressed in a tailored suit that announces wealth louder than his voice ever could. Colleagues glance up from their desks, whispers sparking. Jennifer catches my eye across the conference room, mouthing one word, code red. I intercept him before he can bulldoze further, guiding him into a small meeting room. Dad, this is my workplace, I hiss, heart pounding. Then you should conduct yourself like a professional, he fires back, voice booming loud enough for curious ears outside. Professionals honor their family obligations. He paces, glaring. Your mother hasn't stopped crying. Is that what you wanted? To punish us because we missed one birthday? The molten anger that has lived inside me for decades finally ignites. Try 20 years of birthdays, 20 years of graduations, 20 years of being invisible. You always exaggerate, he dismisses, checking his watch like I'm a meeting running overtime. The point is, Miles deserves our support. 20,000 from your bonus is more than fair. At that exact moment, my phone buzzes in my pocket. An emergency alert from our biggest client. A crisis breaking. I have to choose. Engage in another family trial or step into the professional battlefield where my skills actually matter. I stand taller, shoulders back. I have to handle this. We're done. You can't just walk away from your family, he snaps. I can, and I am. At least until you start treating me as one. I close the door behind me, leaving him in the sterile meeting room, and dial the client with a steady voice that surprises even me. 3 hours later, I'm standing in front of the executive team, presenting a crisis management strategy that saves a multi-million-dollar account. My voice doesn't waver. The board applauds. Lawrence clasps my shoulder, his praise deliberate. Extraordinary work, Quinn. You just saved us $3 million. The contrast is blinding. At work, I'm valued. At home, I'm an afterthought, unless they want my money. When I finally check my phone again, 6 missed calls from Miles wait like vultures. A text glows at the top. Mom's crying every night because of you. Fix this. Fix. As if I am both the problem and the solution. I set the phone face down and turn instead to the stack of congratulatory emails from clients and colleagues. For the first time, I see it clearly. The battlefield is not mine to fight in their house anymore. My sanctuary is here, in my work, in my choices, in the life I build beyond their reach. And the more they push, the steadier I feel. The idea comes quietly at first. Like a whisper I almost mistake for exhaustion. But by the end of the week, it becomes a drumbeat I can't ignore. What if I built something that was only mine? What if I stopped asking for space in their world and claimed my own? The memory of that bookmarked listing lingers. The lakefront property in Michigan. At first it was just fantasy, a click to escape the ache of my birthday. But the thought keeps circling back, sharper every time. A house that doesn't echo with anyone else's name. A refuge I don't need to apologize for. 2 days later, I'm standing on the wooden deck of that very house, sunlight dancing across Lake Michigan like shards of glass. The realtor's heels crunch on the gravel drive behind me, her voice brisk and professional. The owner's already moved to Arizona. Motivated sellers. It's listed at $365, but they'll negotiate. I barely hear her. My eyes are fixed on the view. The lake stretching out endless, the pines bowing in the wind, the deck wrapping around like open arms. For the first time in months, maybe years, I feel my lungs expand without resistance. "I'll take it," I hear myself say, the words startlingly clear. The realtor blinks. "Don't you want to think about it? Maybe bring your family to see?" No. The word is clean, final. This is for me. The process moves faster than I expect. My credit is excellent. My bonus, a solid down payment. Within a week, I'm seated in a quiet office, pen scratching across mortgage documents. Each signature feels like a declaration. I am not theirs. I am mine. The attorney across the table nods approvingly. Smart investment. Waterfront property rarely loses value. I almost laugh. She thinks I'm doing this for equity. She doesn't realize this isn't about numbers. It's about survival. Mrs. Bennett insists on accompanying me to the closing. She sits beside me, her silver hair swept back neatly, her hand warm over mine when I finally accept the keys. "You're doing the right thing, dear," she says softly. "Sometimes you have to build your own sanctuary when the one you were born into never kept you safe." The words almost undo me. I blink hard and smile, pocketing the keys like treasure. Weekends become a rhythm of transformation. I paint the walls sage green, hang curtains that catch the afternoon light, and scatter framed photos across the rooms. My college graduation, the West Ridge account celebration, magazine covers with my campaigns featured. Evidence of a life I built with my own 2 hands. The master bedroom becomes my favorite place. I splurge on bedding softer than clouds, place a reading chair by the window overlooking the lake, and stack books I've always promised myself I'd read. On the door, I hang a small wooden sign I buy from a local craft shop. The birthday suite. Every stroke of paint, every nail hammered into place, feels like rewriting my family's narrative of me. Here, I am not invisible. One bright Sunday, I type out invitations for a housewarming. Jennifer, a handful of colleagues, Mrs. Bennett, my chosen circle. My finger hovers over my family contacts for a long moment, years of conditioning urging me to include them. But no, not this time. I press send only to those who have celebrated me, who see me clearly. The action feels small but monumental, like laying the first stone of a boundary wall. That evening, I sit barefoot on the deck, the lake shimmering gold under the setting sun. My phone lies face down on the armrest, silent. For the first time in my adult life, I feel something stronger than accomplishment. Power, not the kind that comes from titles or bonuses, but from finally choosing myself when no one else ever did. The gossip reaches me before the week is out. It always does. I'm sitting in a corner cafe, laptop open, half a slice of carrot cake abandoned beside my coffee, when my cousin Elaine's name flashes on my phone. Against my better judgment, I answer. Her voice is syrupy, practiced. "Quinn, everyone's talking about your house." She lingers on the word as if it's scandalous. I stir my coffee slowly, watching the foam collapse. "What about it?" "Well," she says with a dramatic pause, "people are saying you've been hiding money, That you're jealous of Miles. That this, she inhales sharply. This purchase is a breakdown. I laugh then, a real laugh, loud enough that a man at the next table glances over. That sounds exactly like something this family would say. Elaine sputters, not expecting amusement. Quinn, be serious. Aunt Claudia is beside herself. Uncle Richard said it's reckless. And you know how people in our community talk. There it is. The cultural knife hidden in silk. In Vietnamese circles, a daughter who isn't married by 32 is already considered an unsettled obligation. Now, a daughter who buys property alone? That's an earthquake. A storm of whispers. She's selfish. She's wasting her money. She's humiliating the family. I sip my coffee unbothered. Let them talk. That evening, I cook blueberry pancakes in my new kitchen, the sweet smell filling the air. My phone buzzes nonstop on the counter, text after text lighting up the screen. Dad, where did you get house money? Answer immediately. Mom, you've embarrassed us. People are asking questions. Miles, fix this. You're making Mom cry every night. Fix this. Always me, the fixer, the scapegoat. I flip the pancake neatly and let the phone buzz itself hoarse. By Monday, the family network is fully activated. An aunt leaves me a voicemail about shame. A cousin messages me on Facebook, asking if I'm doing okay. Even a family friend, someone I haven't spoken to in years, emails me to say Mom is worried sick. I start saving every message, every screenshot, into the same folder as my bonus approval and the group chat printouts. The folder is thick now, a dossier of truths no one can deny. Then the official summons comes. A text from Mom, short and sharp. There's a family emergency meeting tomorrow night. We expect you there. Don't make this worse than it already is. Emergency. They speak as if I've committed a crime. As if buying myself a sanctuary is an act of war. I look around my lake house, the sage green walls, the photos of my victories, the birthday suite upstairs waiting with its soft bedding. There is no emergency here, only peace. But I know what they want. Control. Rehearsed tears, Dad's booming verdict, Miles's silent entitlement. Another trial. Another chance to paint me ungrateful. This time I'll arrive prepared. I close my laptop and walk out onto the deck. The lake stretches before me, calm and endless, the autumn air crisp against my skin. For the first time in decades, I don't feel dread about walking into their house. I feel ready, because I have something they never expected me to bring. Evidence. The granite steps of my parents' mansion rise before me like a courthouse stairway. Evening sun slants across the manicured lawn, casting long shadows that feel like fingers reaching to drag me back into old patterns. I clutch the 3 photo albums tighter to my chest, their weight heavier than books should be. Evidence, I remind myself. Tonight I am not their daughter. I am their prosecutor. The heavy oak door swings open. Dad stands framed in the doorway, 6'2" and stiff with authority, silver hair combed to perfection. His eyes flick to the albums, then back to my face. You're late, he says, turning without waiting for an answer. No hug, no smile, just criticism. Mom waits in the foyer, tissues clutched in her hand, makeup carefully smudged to look like she's been crying. Quinn, she breathes, voice quavering with rehearsed fragility. We've been so worried. I don't answer. Their script is too familiar. Her tears, my guilt, my surrender. Not tonight. Miles appears next, drink in hand. His easy confidence falters when he sees me, his eyes flicking to the albums like he already senses danger. For once, he looks away first. The dining room is a stage. The good china set, candles flickering in sterling holders, the table groaning with beef Wellington. Miles's favorite, not mine. I place the albums on the sideboard, untouched until dessert, and sit opposite my brother, diagonal from Dad's throne at the head. Dad begins with his usual precision, Your mother made your favorite, he says, serving himself first. The lie hangs in the air. Everyone knows beef Wellington hasn't been my favorite since high school. I let my plate sit empty. Let's cut to the chase, I say. We all know why I'm here. Mom sets down her fork with a sigh so theatrical it should come with stage directions. Sweetheart, we're concerned about your impulsive decisions. Buying that lake house without consulting us. Dad cuts her off, his knife slicing meat with surgical precision. It reflects poorly on the family. Reckless spending. Poor financial planning. It was my bonus money, I reply evenly. Money that could have been invested properly, he counters, dismissing me with a flick of his fork, or contributed to something meaningful for the family. Miles clears his throat. Quinn, no one's saying you can't have nice things, but maybe selling it would keep the peace. Mom's been crying every night. Her tissue dabs at eyes that remain suspiciously dry. You're breaking your mother's heart, she whispers. I rise without a word and cross to the sideboard. The first album thuds onto the table. I brought something I thought you should see. Dad's jaw tightens. We don't have time for scrapbooks. Make time. My voice doesn't waver. I flip it open. Pages of Miles. Birthdays with towering cakes, rooms of wrapped gifts, cars with giant bows. Professional photography chronicling every milestone from 6 to 25. Turn to page 16, I tell him. Reluctantly, Miles flips. There he is at 18, grinning beside a brand new car, Dad handing over the keys, Mom crying tears of joy. I slide the second album forward. This one is mine. Mom snatches it first, her fingers trembling. Empty pages stare back at her. A few scattered photos. Me alone with store-bought cupcakes, one of Mrs. Bennet hugging me on my 30th. Nothing else. There was nothing to put in it, I explain, voice steady. On my 21st, you were at Miles's engagement party. Remember? Miles flinches. The third album lands with a heavier sound. Family vacations. Disney World. The Grand Canyon. European tours. In every photo, I'm missing. I wasn't there, I say flatly. I was left with Grandma. Or told there wasn't enough money. Or working 2 jobs because no one would co-sign my loan. Dad slams his palm on the table. What is the point of this melodrama? You've always been the difficult one. The point, I say, reaching into my bag, is evidence. I lay down a printed spreadsheet, columns highlighted in yellow. Family spending, Miles versus Quinn. College tuition, birthday gifts, car down payments, family trips. Thousands upon thousands invested in him. Hundreds in me, Mom gasps, but I don't stop. I pull out a diary page, edges worn. This is from when I was 9. I read aloud, voice sharp as glass. Maybe next year they'll remember my birthday without Grandma calling to remind them. Finally, I place one last photograph at the edge of the table. Christmas dinner, 3 years ago. A place setting with my name, my chair empty because I was working in Chicago. You said you missed me, I tell them. But that isn't my chair. That's the guest chair. Even when you pretended I belonged, I was still an outsider. Silence stretches taut across the table. Dad's face darkens, veins visible at his temple. What do you want from us, Quinn? An apology? Fine. We favored Miles. He was always the priority. He carries the Edwards legacy. Mom's tears finally break, this time real. We didn't mean to. It just happened. It became a pattern, I finish for her. And I was easier to ignore. Miles hasn't spoken again. He stares at a photo of himself at 8, surrounded by presents, while a 6-year-old me lingers in the background, smiling tight. I gather my folder but leave the albums behind. I don't need your approval anymore, I say, voice clear and steady. I don't need your validation. I waited 32 years for you to see me. I'm done waiting. The door closes behind me with a quiet click that echoes like thunder. A year later, sunlight spills golden across the cedar deck of my lake house. The September air is crisp, carrying the first whispers of autumn through the pines. On the table beside me, A tray of fresh fruit glistens with condensation. A champagne bucket cradles a bottle of Prosecco, and in the center sits a cake crowned with 33 candles. Jennifer insisted on one for every year, plus one for luck. The house buzzes with voices and laughter. Colleagues from Horizon mingle easily, glasses in hand. My boss, Lawrence, has already toasted to my promotion. Senior director, officially announced yesterday, celebrated today. A handful of neighbors drift in with warm casseroles and hand-woven baskets. Even Mrs. Bennett sits by the sliding door, regal in her silver shawl, fielding compliments about the quilt she gifted me months ago. It's my birthday. My party? Mine. I pause on the deck, scanning the lake that sparkles under a clear sky. Last year, I sat in a cafe with an abandoned slice of carrot cake, watching strangers celebrate one another. Now, people are here for me. They chose me. I sip my drink and feel something I've rarely allowed. Pride without guilt. Therapy has helped. Dr. Levine calls it breaking generational patterns. For me, it looks like celebrating Thanksgiving in Vermont instead of my parents' house. Like muting family group texts when they veer into manipulation. Like investing the remainder of my bonus into a diversified portfolio rather than another demand from Dad. It looks like freedom in small, deliberate acts. Jennifer raises her mimosa high. To Quinn, the birthday girl who taught us all how to choose ourselves. Glasses clink. Laughter ripples. My cheeks flush, but I don't shrink from the attention. I let it wash over me, warm and earned. Then a sound cuts through, the slam of a car door out front. I know that engine. My stomach tightens before my eyes confirm it. A sleek BMW in the driveway. Miles. The conversation dims as he steps onto the deck, awkward in his pressed shirt, a wrapped package in hand. His eyes dart to the gathered crowd, then to me. Sorry to crash, he says, voice uncharacteristically uncertain. I wanted to give you this. In person. The old Quinn would have bristled, would have asked him what favor he wanted in exchange. But this version of me, standing barefoot on her own deck, surrounded by chosen family, sees something else. Hesitation. Vulnerability. Join us, I hear myself say, surprising even me, and I mean it. Later, after the cake is cut and the champagne poured, the crowd drifts inside. Miles and I remain at the edge of the dock, the wrapped package resting between us. The lake glitters as the sun dips low, painting the horizon in shades of rose and amber. He doesn't look at me when he speaks. Therapy's been eye-opening. Dad still won't go, but Mom's trying. She talks about you differently now. I keep my voice steady. And you? He exhales slowly. I never saw it before. How they erased you while spotlighting me. But once you showed us, I couldn't unsee it. He nudges the package toward me. Open it. Inside, under careful wrapping, is a framed photograph. Me, 7 years old, perched on our old tire swing, laughing at something outside the frame. Just me. I found it in Dad's storage boxes, Miles explains. Had it restored. Proof you existed, even when nobody was looking. My throat tightens. The photo feels fragile and powerful at once, like a bridge offered across years of imbalance. I glance back toward the house, where warm light spills from the windows, my friends laughing inside. For the first time, I feel the possibility of two truths coexisting. Family can wound, and family can change. But before I can answer, a knock echoes at the lake house door. Through the glass, I see her, Mom, standing alone on the porch, clutching a small white bakery box. The sight of her knocks the breath from me. Mom, framed by the glow of the porch light, looking smaller than I've ever seen her. The bakery box trembles in her hands. Her makeup is minimal, almost an afterthought, and for once her posture doesn't scream performance. It whispers uncertainty. Miles glances at me, his expression unreadable. I didn't tell her where until today, he admits softly. For a moment I just stand there on the dock, the restored photograph heavy in my hands. Every instinct screams to protect the peace I've built, to keep her outside that door where she can't touch me. But another voice whispers, sometimes the only way to heal is to let the wound breathe. I walk back slowly, barefoot across the planks, and open the door. She holds out the bakery box like an offering. Her voice trembles. Happy birthday, Quinn. I brought carrot cake. You always liked that, didn't you? I blink. Carrot cake, she remembered. For 32 years, I'd begged for recognition. And here it is, small and clumsy, but real. My throat tightens. Come in, I say quietly, stepping aside. Her relief is palpable. She sets the box carefully on the counter, eyes flicking to the sounds of laughter from the living room. For once, she doesn't launch into an explanation or a performance. She just stands there, clutching her tissue, searching for words. I need to say something, she finally whispers. I let your father's voice drown out mine. For years. I told myself I was keeping the peace, but really, I was too afraid to stand up to him. And you paid the price. Her confession hangs in the air, fragile as glass. Do you know how many times, I ask, voice shaking, I begged you to see me, and every time you looked away, her eyes brim with tears. Not the rehearsed kind, but raw. I know, and I can't undo it. But I can try, Quinn, if you'll let me. The door to the deck opens. Miles joins us, quiet, watchful. For once, he doesn't speak for her, doesn't buffer or redirect. He simply places a steady hand on her shoulder and nods at me, as if to say, she means it this time. I look between them. My brother with his tentative humility, my mother trembling under the weight of her admission. The old Quinn would have folded, desperate to grasp any crumb of affection. The new Quinn understands something deeper. Reconciliation isn't surrender. It's negotiation. Small steps, I say finally. If you want to be here, it has to be on my terms. No demands, no guilt trips, just honesty. She nods quickly, like a student grateful to be given a second chance. Later, when the party winds down and the guests trickle out, Mom lingers in the kitchen, carefully cutting slices of the carrot cake for whoever's left. The smell fills the house, familiar yet strangely new. I watch her from the doorway, the restored photograph of my 7-year-old self still in my hands. For the first time, I allow myself to imagine a future where family doesn't mean erasure, but accountability. As twilight deepens over the lake, I step onto the porch, the cool night air brushing my skin. Behind me, I hear her laugh softly at something Jennifer says. The sound is hesitant, but real, and for the first time, I wonder if maybe, just maybe, the cycle can break. The lake house has never felt fuller. Empty plates and half-drained glasses scatter across the counters. Laughter lingers like perfume in the air, and the faint scent of carrot cake still drifts from the kitchen. Guests begin to say their goodbyes. Jennifer with her arm slung around Mrs. Bennett's shoulders, colleagues waving as they slip out into the cool night. The hum of cars pulling away fades until it's just the three of us left. Me, Miles, and Mom. The silence that follows is thick. Not uncomfortable exactly, but uncharted. I stand at the sliding glass door, watching the last traces of sunlight bleed across the lake. Behind me, Mom fusses with napkins at the table, folding them too carefully, avoiding my eyes. Finally, she exhales, the sound trembling. I don't know how to be here, she admits softly. The honesty startles me more than if she had launched into another performance. I turn, leaning against the doorframe. Then don't pretend. Just start small. Her fingers twist the napkin in her lap. When you were born, I thought I'd be different. I thought I'd give you everything my mother couldn't give me. But then, she swallows hard, your father's voice was louder, and it was easier to follow his script than to write my own. Every time I ignored you, it was like ignoring myself. But I didn't stop. The words lanced through me, sharp and raw. For a moment, I want to rage, to remind her of every empty birthday chair, every memory where she turned her back. But when I meet her eyes, I see something new. Not guilt meant to manipulate, but guilt she can't escape. You can't rewrite the past, I say, voice low, but you can stop repeating it. She nods, eyes wet, and for once she doesn't reach for a tissue as armor. She lets the tears fall, unpolished and unplanned. Later, Miles and I walk her out to the porch. The night is cool, stars freckling the dark water. She clutches the empty bakery box to her chest like a relic. At the bottom of the steps, she hesitates. "Will you invite me again?" she asks, the question small, almost childlike. I breathe in the night air, steadying. "If you come as yourself, not as Dad's echo." Her relief is fragile but radiant. "I can try." After she leaves, Miles lingers on the porch, hands in his pockets. He studies me for a long moment. "She's scared," he says finally. "So am I admit." He nods, a rare moment of symmetry between us. Then maybe that's how it starts. When the house is quiet again, I retreat to the dock with a glass of wine. The framed photograph of my 7-year-old self rests beside me, the restored image catching moonlight. In it, my laugh is unguarded, untamed, before the years of erasure pressed me small. I lift the glass toward the reflection shimmering on the water. "Here's to small steps," I whisper. The lake answers with gentle ripples, carrying the sound into the dark. Morning sunlight glitters across the lake, dappling the walls of my bedroom with shifting gold. The house is quiet now. No laughter, no footsteps, just the creak of settling wood and the steady rhythm of waves. I pad barefoot into the kitchen, the scent of last night's carrot cake still faint in the air. For once, the quiet doesn't feel hollow. It feels like mine. I sit at the long oak table, the same one where friends crowded with champagne glasses only hours ago. The framed photo of my 7-year-old self rests nearby, the bakery box folded flat beside it. I pull a leather-bound notebook from the drawer, open to a fresh page, and at the top, I write 3 words in ink, dark and deliberate. Contract of Independence. It's not a legal document, no signatures, no witnesses, but it feels binding in a deeper way. I list the clauses as if drafting a charter. No contribution demanded under the guise of family obligation. No guilt-ridden summons to erase decades of neglect. Every boundary I set is valid, whether respected or not. Love, if it comes, must be chosen, not coerced. The pen glides smoother with each line, my hand steadier, as if I'm etching a new constitution for my life. Outside, the deck beckons. I carry my notebook and coffee to the Adirondack chair, settling into its familiar curve. The lake is a mirror today, perfectly still, reflecting sky and pine in flawless symmetry. I imagine my reflection layered there too. Quinn, 33, finally whole. I flip back through the pages I've filled over the past year. Therapy notes, business ideas, journal entries scrawled on nights when the phone buzzed with demands I ignored. Each page is a stone in the wall I've been building, protective, but not isolating. A soft buzz interrupts my thoughts. My phone, face up on the table this time. A text from Mom. "Thank you for letting me stay last night." Small steps. For once I don't feel anger or suspicion. I feel cautious hope. I type back, "Yes." Small steps. Then I set the phone down. Screen dark again. Boundaries intact. Later, Jennifer arrives with a bottle of wine. "For round 2, she jokes, dropping it on the counter with a grin. We toast on the deck as the sun slips lower, painting the lake in amber and rose. "To choosing yourself," she says, clinking her glass against mine. I smile, the weight of the contract solid in my mind. To never asking permission again. As twilight deepens, I snap a photo. Me barefoot on the cedar deck, glass in hand, lake behind me. I post it with a simple caption. "Birthday gift to myself. Freedom." The notifications begin almost immediately. Likes, comments, heart emojis. But this time, I don't measure my worth in them. The gift was never for their eyes. It was for mine. I lean back, watching the stars prick the sky, my silhouette outlined against the glow of the lake house windows. For the first time, I understand power. Not the kind handed down like inheritance, but the kind carved from years of being overlooked and finally saying, enough. I raise my glass to the dark water, to my reflection rippling there. Here's to the woman who chose herself. And as the waves lap softly against the shore, I ask the question I'll leave with anyone listening. What gift have you given yourself that changed everything?